Drafting worldwide. Welcome back to the Revit Garage project. In the last video we went through and finalized all of our detail items within our wall section, double checked our sheet, make sure everything was still good. Now we can go through and start annotating this. So we're going to start calling out different items on this drawing. So let's just start at the bottom and start drawing some things. So all I have to do is click on text, and there's 4 different options that populate right here. This is just text with no leader. This is text with 1 segment leader, which I don't want to use. This is a curved leader. I don't want to use that either. This is the one I want to use. I want to use the 2 segments. So whenever I click this, the first place is where I'm starting the leader from. So I want to point at this footing, and I'm going to come down here. And I know that I don't have much space on my drawing down here, so I'm going to kind of bring it off to the side here, see if that will work, and then I'm going to go back and look at my drawing on the sheet. So this is 8 by 16 concrete, and let's do all caps, concrete footing. I'm going to do some abbreviating. And I'm going to say 20, and let's back that up a little bit. 8 by 16, 2,500 psi concrete footing. That's how strong the concrete is that I use for the footing. Before I get too much further, I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do this one for the roof to see how much I can take away. So I'm going to point at the roof, and then I'm going to come out here a little ways, and then I'm going to do a horizontal line from this. I'm always going to do that as a horizontal line, and I'm going to say asphalt shingles on, enter. Synthetic felt on, and I'm just going through the layers of the roof assembly. 5/8 inch OSB with H clips at midspan, which we haven't talked about yet, but that's just something to kind of tie the roof together and keep it from moving at the middle of the OSB, keep it from flexing. And this time we're going to do on here. On yours is going to say prefab trusses unless you're doing a second floor. This is shown as rafters. We would have to make some changes to this, and this is where it can get specific. I'm going to call this out as prefab trusses by others, and I'm also going to say provide vent baffles, because I have a vented soffit down here. Air is going to come in here, and it's going to travel through these vent baffles in between the rafters, and it's going to exit in our ridge vent. Provide vent baffles in cavity, and I'm going to say OK. And I have a few things going on down here that I can probably put all these notes down here. So this could probably move the whole way kind of down here. And what I like to do is I like to have this perpendicular to the roof, so I kind of guesstimate what it needs to look like to be perpendicular. And then for assemblies like this, what I'll do is I'll add another leader, or I'll just draw a leader in there. Let's see if I can just throw a leader in there and move it. I'll have to do that in a little bit here. Yeah, if I add a leader at this point, it's just going to add it to the other side. And I can't really change that, so I'm going to delete that. I'll add it in a different way. And then I'm also going to have my spot slope on here. So I'll do that right there. And I'm going to change that from an arrow to a triangle. Click it, change that to a triangle, like that. And I'm just going to bump this down a little bit more. And I'm going to bump this down a little bit more. And then I'm going to go into my view properties. I'm going to turn on my crop region visible. I'm going to pull this down to there and turn that back off. And now I'm going to go to look at my actual sheet and see what we have for that. So you can see this was over my text there, so I can move this whole view up quite a bit on the title block. Still have a fair amount of space up there, and then I can take this drawing symbol, I can bring it the whole way down there, and I know that that fits. So I can start annotating the rest of this stuff. So next I can start annotating these things. I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to choose the 2 segment. I'm going to slide this down just a little bit here. I'll do that by grabbing that. Give myself a little bit of room to add another note in there. And I'm going to actually do that right in this view. And I'll click on this, bring that over there so I have all that room. So I can click inside here, and I know that I can go down to about that space, so I have room on top of there. So I'm going to go back to my wall section view. And I'm also going to take these things, I'm just going to pull them out a little bit away from the building. And I have them kind of lined up with that. And whenever I look at my sheet for that one, I still have plenty of room. So I could bring this whole thing over this way and I could take those out a little bit more, but I don't think I'll need to. So I'll go back to my typical wall section and I'm going to start adding notes to this. 2 segment leader, I'm going to point at this, do my horizontal line away from it, and I'm going to say 8-inch form drain and then I'm going to do another note for this one. Click this one, and here I'm just going to point right at it, and I'll make this a 1 segment one since I'm not going to have, it's already horizontal. I'll just go right there, bring it out here, and I'm going to say 4-inch schedule 40, which is the thickness of the pipe. It's a pretty heavy duty pipe. Drain, enter, to daylight, which means that I'm going to slope that drain out until it hits outside somewhere and I can drain that off of the property. And if there's no slope, then you would just do a sump. So I can just continue to annotate here after I have that one in, 4-inch schedule 40, drain to daylight. I'm going to have another one that comes in here, and this is going to be called Earth, and then I'm going to have one that comes over here, and I'm going to say 2B, which is the size, crushed limestone, which ensures that they don't use sandstone, which will break down and eventually could possibly clog this. It'll 2B crushed limestone will allow the water to drain through this one is going to be, point at it this way, do my horizontal line. I'm going to say finished grade. This is going to be 4-inch thick, 3,500 psi air entrained, meaning that they put air in it to keep it from freezing, concrete. I'm actually going to take that space out of there, and I'm going to click away, and I'm going to see if this will, yeah, so I'm just going to drag that in and make it look like that. And I'm going to add a little bit to it, so I'm just going to double click on that. I'm going to say on to be crushed limestone base. And I want this to go up to the top. I want it to come off of that air, so I'm going to click this button instead. And then I'm going to bring this in a little bit, bring that back a little bit, like that. Just neatening it up, making it look good. I'm going to come down here, where's my text? Come down here and say, I'm going to kind of point to this area, and I'm going to say 8-inch form drain with 3-inch drain. I'm not going to do that. 3-inch radon vent to above roof level. I'm basically going to, or I could say something to above, yeah, we'll just leave it as to above roof level. So at some point this pipe has to come out and find its way through the roof, so any radon that's below this foundation will exit through the roof. Alright, then I'm going to come in here and add one for the CMU wall. I don't have that anywhere yet. So, and I'm going to do it this direction. I think I'm going to move this down here a little bit and add a note right there. Now point right to that, get these lined up, and I like how that looks. Let me cancel it. Delete that. Got crooked on me. I'm going to come in here and get this one right here lined up with these ones. I'll just bump this down some. And I'm going to stretch this one out just a little bit more. There we go. Alright, I'm going to add one right here. Annotate text. Start it right there. Make sure it's horizontal. I'll line it up with that. And I'm going to say 8-inch CMU with with 1/4-inch thick waterproof cement parge. I'll just leave it at that. And I think I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to call out this cove call out this cove, bring that up. That's the wrong leader. So I can just bring this up there, stretch this out to here, line that up, and I have my text in here. And I'm just going to call it out as a cove. And right here, I'm going to do this right there. I'm going to point to that. And I'm going to say vinyl siding on 1/2 inch. Or actually, we'll do on house wrap, Tyvek house wrap. On 1/2 inch OSB on 2x4 stud spaced at 16-inch on center OC. And that should cover all that. Here we're going to say, point at this one, close that and get rid of this one. I'm going to pick my different leader. Annotate text, pick that one, and here. And the importance of this one is it needs to be pressure treated, so it's going to be a 2x4 pressure treated sill plate. And I'm going to leave these ones alone. This one I'm going to make a little note that says provide structural header as per International Residential Code 2018. This one I'm going to call out as provide, or we're just going to say double top plate. This one right here, this is going to be part of my 2x10. It's going to be part of my truss system. So, and we're going to call this out as just delete that and do another one, text. And I'll call this out as 3/4 inch tongue and groove, or T and G, OSB subfloor on 2x10 bottom cord of truss. And we'll call this out as an attic truss. Attic truss. And then I'll just bring this in and have it wrap around like that. So it looks good. At that point, I pretty much have everything that I need for this garage except for my eave here. So I'll zoom in on my eave, and I'm just going to call out a couple things here. Call this out as my F channel. I call this out as my vented soffit. Call this out. Let's do fascia first. Running out of room here. I'm going to move these things a little bit so I have room for these. Aluminum fascia, and let's call this one out as, we'll switch to that, call this one out as drip edge. There I have everything on the eave done. The roof assembly, the floor assembly, roof / truss assembly, the wall assembly, foundation. At this point, I could go back over to my typical wall section sheet, finish filling the rest of this stuff out. So today is, I'm going to put today's date for this. We got March 1st, 2022, checker BWD, and drawn by BWD as well. Everything else looks pretty good. At this point, I could finish this and export this as a high resolution JPEG. Just as a quick reminder, we can do that. So I'll go through and export as an image, and I'm going to specify where it goes, and I'll just change this to go into the folder that I'm working in. And after I have all that, I'm going to change this to be 2500 horizontal pixels, and I'm going to select my sheet, uncheck the views, do the typical wall section, say OK, and I'm just going to say no, and I'm going to put this one into a little different place. That's it.